Hello everyone, this is Overmind, and welcome back to another StarCraft 2 replay cast. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Protoss vs Zerg matchup from the Diamond League, which I've been told is epic. So we'll see what goes on in this game, but first let's go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning up at the top left side of Nimbus Ladder Edition, by far one of my personal favorites from our current ladder pool, we have our blue Protoss player, representing Vortex Esports, and notice it is Askaria. And spawning up at the top right side of our map, in yellow, representing Eurus and Vortex Esports, we have our Zerg player. It is AppleJack, who is either named after the cereal or after the My Little Pony character. We can't know. But he is going to go ahead and build a pool before his first expansion. We do have a very sneaky looking probe heading on up. Askaria, what are you up to? Askaria. Well, his only real offensive building is a forge, and it just finished. There's the 3 pylon wall off. His probe is now trapped, but nothing can really get to him without AppleJack committing a lot of resources. So, sort of a win-win, I guess. However, in order to make this work, Askaria really needs to get some cannons down there on the low ground. I don't think this cannon up top can hit anything. Looks like AppleJack is just going to solve this problem by expanding to his 3rd base location. However, additional pylon goes down. It looks like the cannon rush is going to continue. This probe placing this pylon in such a way that the minerals block a lot of the surface area on it, making it harder to kill off with workers or zerglings in the early game, which is of course quite good. Looks like we have additional drones being pulled to help deal with this, but at the moment, cannon number 1 goes down. Askaria might be able to make this happen, and then cancels the cannon, which is a way to go, I suppose. We have a couple zerglings on the field. Looks like they're going to focus down that pylon, and oh, Askaria's gonna try and make this work. I don't think he's going to be able to with that spine crawler though, and probe gets poked. Probe gets poked to death. That's just what happens. Askaria just going to casually expand. I wasn't cannon rushing. No, I'm just gonna expand. It's gonna be completely fine, not a problem, not an issue. Looks like we are going to have the completion of a wall off over here in Askaria's base. And of course, it's not necessarily a bad thing for him to have pylons in the high ground above his opponent's main base, because of course he can always warp units in there. So that of course is going to be a concern for AppleJack moving forward. However, I want to go ahead and note something that I noticed about the game. There are actually a lot of layers to this game. I got to read this chat log when I did the intro the first time because I messed it up. We had a GLHF from Askaria, a thanks babe, a subtle compliment from AppleJack. Askaria is elated, he sends back a heart. AppleJack suddenly with a rejection, not saying GLHF to Protoss. Sorry, yo, the frowny face. Askaria insults him because he's upset. AppleJack says, you dirty, GLHF, and then there's something about a proxy hatch. But the point is, you guys, this game has a lot of unexplored layers. We're really just going to be looking at the gameplay at this point. And on that happy tangent, let's go ahead and talk about some of it. We do have a hatchery mutating its way into a lair. A couple gases have been taken for AppleJack. Over in Askaria's base, we have the building of the cyber core, which of course is kind of frightening for AppleJack because of that unit warp-in potential once this research is done, and of course the research does get started right away, so that's going to be up and running soon enough. Looks like we have a Stargate, so it could be Oracle harassment, could be Phoenixes to harass those overlords, could be a lot of things, but realistically anything that comes from this building is going to be fine. Looks like we have the infestation pit just about done for AppleJack. We have the Nidus network, ooh, scary, coming on up also for AppleJack. And of course we have level 1 upgrades coming up for Askaria. Things are starting to look pretty standard over at the Protoss base. Making a couple units, but we're really waiting for Warp Gate for things to take off. Looks like this Stalker does kill off this one Zergling who has been really working away at this debris. I mean, I didn't think he was going to make it that far, but my goodness, he just tried, and he almost got the rocks to roll all the way up the hill, but unfortunately did not. At this point, we're going to see swarm hosts being produced, which is somewhat problematic because aside from cannons, we don't really have any other form of detection, and of course swarm hosts can be quite a pain to deal with if you don't have detection, so hopefully Askaria will get up on that shortly. Oh goodness, the Nidus network being used. Here's the first Nidus swarm building along, and it's coming up. The probes are moving to try and take care of it, but... oh, the probes are going to kill the Nidus worm, but there are queens here to lay creep tumors. There's a couple swarm hosts burrowed in here. This actually might be a pretty big problem if it escalates too far. And I believe Askaria is... he's not yet responding to this. He's waiting. He's building up his forces. He doesn't have too many units. There is an additional Nidus swarm building up here. He has to hurry along and deal with this, or else this is going to be a huge problem. Locusts are getting a lot of probe kills here. This is quite devastating. We have a bunch of drones being pushed through so that we can build our friends the spine crawlers. Queens are laying down creep tumors. Looks like we're actually going to have spore crawlers as well, which is probably quite good since our friend Askaria has been building mostly air units. And here we have a Nexus being focus fired down. That's a problem, Askaria. Alright, he has some units here. He does now have detection. He has a robotics facility. There is an observer, but there's so many things here, and there are spore crawlers all around intermixed with this, which will just kill off any observer or other detector that I know of. Aside from cannons, which of course can't be built on creep. This base is just about done. We have creep spread. Moving on along, there's additional locusts taking out this last assimilator, the last bastion of hope for Askaria's natural expansion. And pretty soon the locusts are going to start coming down the ramp. Askaria, you have to have an answer for this. Otherwise the game is over. Askaria is going to move up the ramp. He takes out one of... oh, is he going to get... Alright, he got one of the swarm hosts, he got one of the spore crawlers. He doesn't have too many things left. Alright, Askaria fighting. I don't think he's gonna make it, you guys. I'm very concerned about our friend Askaria. I think he's destined to have his heart broken by this Zerg player who does not appreciate his skills as a protoss. And... oh, gonna go ahead and break down the rocks at the front, possibly thinking to just re-expand to another location. May actually be a good idea. Of course, it's always good to have a contingency plan. Looks like we do have locusts coming down the ramp, though, starting to deal with, of course, his conveniently placed near the ramp tech buildings. And here's the final push, the final struggle. Spore crawlers being quite a pain. A little bit of a microwave, those void rays. And we have a transfuse on this spore crawler, which is just living forever. The locust getting lots of shots off. One void ray goes down. The immortals are still alive, so true to their name. This void ray having very little health left. Locust coming back down the ramp. We do have an expansion from Askaria at what would be his third, so both players have taken the same exact bases. Looks like we have a couple phoenixes here to clear off any additional overlords, which could continue to build Nidus networks near our base, so that is good. But lots and lots of locusts here, getting essentially lots of damage from free units. We do have a bit of shields built up on that void ray, however, more locusts moving down the ramp. Lots of queens here, and Spore Crawler doesn't take out the observer. Lots of damage being done by those locusts, though. They are small but mighty. Askaria is clinging on to hope, hoping that he can make this work between him and AppleJack, hoping that something will happen here that may just not be meant to be. This Stargate is, looks like it's gonna fall here pretty shortly. We have some locusts trying to engage with this Protoss army. The locusts certainly aren't enough to kill off the entire army at this moment, but certainly that Stargate is not an unrealistic goal. Oh, Stargate very low, 1 HP. Still alive. Oh, we lose the observer. We now have no detection. Askaria moves along with his life, realizes that he is a strong Protoss player who does not need no zerg. AppleJack leaves the game victorious, having done a very good job of demolishing his opponent. Of course, when the Immortals die, we know that the game is over. Thank you so much for the game, you guys. That was very fun. For those of you out there who are watching this and enjoyed the game, want to send me a game to be cast and put up on my channel, go ahead and send it to noobcrafted, noobcrafted, @gmail.com. For those of you who enjoyed the cast but don't want to contribute anything to the channel, don't really want your games to be featured, that's fine. Go ahead and click the subscribe button or follow me on Twitter or what have you, and you'll get to see more games like this. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good night.